cubes. How many permutations are we going to have? Well, the laws of mathematics are very simple. They tell you that you will get 120 combinations, and you obtain this by multiplying 1 by 2, by 3, by 4, by 5. The product is 120. So you will get 120 combinations or permutations. In other words, every combination, let us say, if they fall down, lined up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this particular combination, this combination has a chance out of 120 chances. Let me show you on the board. Here we are with 5 cubes, each one labeled with only one number. You toss them up in the air and have them fall down so they'll be lined up in this particular combination. What are the possible combinations? How many? Here we see the formula. The number of possible combinations or permutations is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5, or 120 combinations. The probability for any specific combination is obtained by dividing 1 over 120, because each combination has a chance out of 120 chances. And 1 over 120 equals 0.0086. This probability diminishes fast as we increase the number of cubes. For example, if we increase the number of cubes by 1, so you have 6 cubes instead of 5, the number of possible combination jumps from 120 to 720. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6. And the probability for any specific combination goes down from 1 out of 120 to 1 out of 720, or 0.0014. So you can see how fast it diminishes. Okay, well, when will the probability diminish all the way to 0? Well, mathematicians who are exceedingly precise, conservative, and careful scientists decided that if you have 84 cubes, then the probability is 0 for getting any specific combinations. What does this mean? Let me go to the board and show you this. I have the number here for 84 cubes. The probability, look at this, is 0.000000 all the way 50 zeros, and then 208. So you can see here that the probability for all practical purposes is 0. And this, by the way, is extending it the full benefit of the doubt. What does this mean in practical terms? This means that you can take these 84 cubes, toss them up in the air, and have them fall in such a way so they line up. And if you want the specific combination of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 84, if you want this specific combination, you can toss up these cubes and have them fall down lined up forever, and you will never see this combination. This is what probability 0 means. You can appreciate that. Now, many of you are familiar with the lottery. You know what your chances are of winning the lottery. And here in the lottery, we're talking about 5 or 6 numbers. So you can really appreciate the improbability of having 84 cubes line up in a specific combination. To make a long story short, the genetic material of the human being, the gene that decides what kind of creature we have, this genetic material contains, listen to this, 30 billion nucleotides arranged in specific sequences and specific quantities. Now, what are the probabilities of arranging these billions of nucleotides in a specific sequence? Of course, you know the answer from mathematical laws. The probability is 0 many times over. We are talking here about not 84 numbers or 8400 numbers or 84,000 or 84 million numbers. We're talking about 30 billion nucleotides As scientists, we have been talking about similarities between the human being and the ape as far as genetic material is concerned. And you know something, if we have 90% similarity, we are still talking about 300 million nucleotides that must be arranged in a specific sequence and specific quantities to change the ape into a human being. Even if we have 99% similarity, we are still talking about 30 million nucleotides that must be haphazardly arranged in specific sequence in order to change the ape into a human being. And you know that the probability for this is zero. We have now these mathematical laws that can tell us exactly which event is probable and which event is not probable. And we know that the probability that 30 million nucleotides, in case of 99% similarity between the human and the ape, we know that this probability is zero. We're not talking about 84 numbers, we're talking about 30 million nucleotides. Another thing, at the other end of the evolutionary spectrum, we're talking about the so-called simple cell. You remember when I stated Charles Darwin's theory? Darwin said that first a simple single cell was formed. Well, the cell that Darwin is talking about is not simple at all. It's a very complex chemical factory. In fact, it is the most complex chemical factory we know of. It has hundreds of actions and reactions going on in the cell. And it has the DNA material that is very complex. And just to quote something that will make you smile at least, about 50 years ago, Wells, Huxley and Wells wrote in their text, The Science of Life, I'm quoting now, "Nothing can be seen inside the nucleus of the cell but a clear fluid." End of quote. Now, those great scientists knew nothing about DNA. In the last 50 years, there was so much advancement in science that we realize now how many actions and reactions are going on within the nucleus. We know about the DNA, the helical structure, and we know the arrangement and the specificity of sequences of nucleotides, and we know now that haphazard creation of a simple cell, as Darwin called it, is not, the probability is zero. According to Darwin, the evolution of organs paralleled the evolution of the organisms. For example, the eye, this very complex organ, started out, according to Darwin, as a light-sensitive spot on the surface. After millions upon millions of years, this light-sensitive spot became a depression. Additional millions upon millions of years passed, and the depression became a pit, and then millions more years caused a lens to develop in that depression. Well, according to this scenario, creatures existed for millions upon millions of years in total blindness, awaiting the evolution of the 20/20 vision, the evolution of the eye. And this, of course, to you and to me, logically does not make sense. And now we see by mathematical laws that the probability is zero, that this happened haphazardly. Do you know how many things are in the eye? The lens, the cornea, the retina, I can give you a list, 2 pages of components of the eye. Each one of them cannot be haphazardly formed. We have now these laws of mathematics telling us that the probability is zero.